For young anime fans, and heck, even anime fans my age, one of the biggest and coolest things that could happen is your parents wanting to get into anime. So let me take and dive into this list that I made that I think could get your parents into anime. So I went through a list of stuff that could appeal to different adults, stuff that could bring them in, something that could interest them. So we're going to start off with the first one on the list, which is The Ancient Magis Bride, which is basically anime Harry Potter, and has been described that plenty of times alongside Violet Evergarden with how beautiful it was. But for this one, Ancient Magis Bride, for those who don't know, is basically a story about a girl who has been ostracized by all of her relatives and basically by society as well. So she ended up being orphaned. And the Japanese high school student Chise Hattori ends up auctioning herself in London to see if someone else can just take her in and give her a new place. Well, during this auction, she was sold for £5 million to Elias Ainsworth, a basically 7-foot-tall humanoid-like object person with an animal skull. And this Magis seems to be very close to like a demon rather than a human. And he apparently brings life to her world and like shows her the world of magic and shows her the beauty of it and what it can offer her. And throughout this 26 episode, which there's spin-offs and there's books and stuff, you see how beautiful this can be represented, how she basically went from wanting to kill herself and become a slave to wanting to live life and accepting her new role as living with him and eventually ending up having to marry him as part of the deal of being bought for £5 million. This show is very beautiful, very well put together, and it's something that can bring people into it. Now, the next one, 2 on the list, people are going to think that it's weird, but it has been proven with my own parents. The live-action Cowboy Bebop and One Piece. Those are based on 2 very popular series. One Piece, which, if you don't know what it is, it's based on a kid named Monkey D. Luffy who goes off and becomes a pirate to become the king of the pirates, and you follow his journey of him and his crew. Then Cowboy Bebop, you follow Spike Spiegel and his band of merry misfits, as I like to call them, but they're bounty hunters, and they go on these different journeys, and it ends up being a very good, well put together story, one that I have always been in love with and is one of my top favorite animes of all time. But these live actions are good gateways to get people into anime, to go and follow the source. While there was a purist that hated it, I actually genuinely enjoyed the live-action Cowboy Bebop. It was a fresh breath air and a slightly different twist. Jet had his own daughter and a bunch of other things. And then with the live-action One Piece, they're doing such a good job. It is so well put together to see these fantasy worlds put into reality and actually be built and see these stories with actual people. It is so good. Don't listen to the purist on that, because there are people that are just ignorant when it comes to that stuff. Another one that I highly recommend is Restaurant to Another World. It's simple, soft, very easy to get into. It's about food while dealing with politics and stuff in the other world. I've done multiple videos on this series, but for those who don't know and finding this video for the first time, it is a series about a restaurant that on the 7th day, which is the day of satire in this other world, the door to the restaurant opens from our normal world to their world, to which you see these characters come in and experience different cuisine from our world being experienced to them, different Western style food. And it takes place all in this restaurant named Nicoya. And you follow a bunch of cool characters, you have very sweet, wholesome moments, and I genuinely enjoy it. It is my relaxed go-to anime. I have all the manga, all the light novels. I really do enjoy this series. And for me to recommend this, not because I really do enjoy it, which I really do, but because it's simple and easy to get into. It's not overcomplicated, the story isn't hard to follow, it's very beautiful, very well drawn, and it just follows these characters experiencing these amazing foods for the first time, while slowly introducing you into the world of the fantasy world, dealing with the politics, how they deal with different races, how they interact with each other. It's very good and very well put together. One way to actually test the waters would be Studio Ghibli films. I genuinely think that is a good way. It's not a sit down to this whole show commitment. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours max. You have Porco Rosso, Spirited Away, you have Grave of the Fireflies, you have Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, you have Howl's Moving Castle. You have so many different anime movies done by Ghibli that could be shown to your parents. and with the beautiful art style, the very lighthearted message. With some of them are kind of dark. Spirited Away has a kind of a dark message. Porco Rosso is learning about, you know, accepting yourself while dealing with this curse and being turned into a pig. Porco Rosso is, like, honestly one of my favorite movies from Ghibli. There's just a whole wide variety and a wide range of stuff that you can introduce your parents to. Another one that isn't Studio Ghibli, but I probably would recommend, is Tokyo Godfathers, especially around Christmas time. Very good movie. So I recommend Ghibli to just test the water, to see if anime is something they would even be interested in. Like I said, it's an hour and a half to 2 hour max commitment. Worst comes to worst, they sat down and watched a movie. So, I mean, win or lose, you still get to introduce them to at least Studio Ghibli. If they are kind of interested in anime, I honestly suggest Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. 52 episodes of good storytelling, good world building, very easy to get into and get invested, which is why it's recommended as one of the best anime of all time. But it's super easy and a very good easy palette pleaser, and like being able to appeal to a wide variety between action, the politics, to the world building, to the character development. Everything you can want in peak anime is offered in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is super good. Just the story itself is super appealing. You follow these two boys, Edward and Alphonse, as they try to figure out how to deal with life while being state enlisted alchemists because they committed a taboo and while trying to bring their mother back. And you have to see these boys deal with these consequences while moving forward, while trying to find out the history of their father and a bunch of other different things that take place in this show. It is amazing, and I really do think it could be easy for you to get your parents into watch, especially if they love action and like political stuff that can kind of keep stuff entertaining, like a bunch of like British drama shows, or if they like stuff like NCIS or Law and Order or stuff like that, where it has a bunch of drama, heavy driven with action mixed in between. Full Metal definitely does that and devolves into it in the second half. Very drama. I'm going on a rant. Point is, Full Metal Alchemist is another very good one. Another one for the list would be Dragon Ball Z, which a lot of people think is a weird recommendation, but I've seen it time and time again get parents invested, because it's kind of like for a little while it was Villain of the Week and every episode was fighting. Even though it is a continuous arc, every episode has fight, so you can get into the action. Then you can develop your affection for these characters as time goes on, especially starting when Goku had to take on Raditz in the very beginning. That was one like very good, easy episode to get into. While yes, the animation is, you have Dragon Ball Z Kai, which kind of condenses everything so it's not as long as regular DBZ. There's other ways to get into this medium. Then worst comes to worst, you can show them the movies too, because they're about an hour and a half and they're condensed and they are self-contained stories, and just like the Studio Ghibli films, they can appeal to like the people who like watching fighting movies, like with Jet Li, Jackie Chan, all that stuff. People who might be into wrestling will definitely get into DBZ. And DBZ is one of those cultural phenomenons that has taken root all across the world, so it definitely has the backing behind it to prove that it is good. So DBZ is definitely up the alley of something you can recommend. There was one series that I would like to recommend, but it's not actually part of the list. It's a follower and like kind of an honorable mention. Fate series. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. There was a couple others. I would also probably throw in Spy X Family, because, you know, Sunday morning cartoon kind of vibe to it. Every episode is self-contained story minus one or two, which will go back to back. They all have a bunch of action in it, very good funny comedy. But let me know what you guys think. These are my lists that I would recommend. So, love you all, appreciate you all, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.